So we got a lot of nice ones and one mean, nasty one. So I'm going to read the mean, nasty one first. It says, what made you transition from a proud communist to eco-warrior green job czar? See? Isn't that nasty? Yeah. And now, here's the deal. I had enough courage to read it. Who will have enough courage to raise their hand and say they wrote it? You? You did? What's your name, sir? Hi. My name's Anthony, too, but everybody calls me Van. So, what made me transition from proud communist? Okay. So, I'll tell you. First of all, where are you from? Born and raised? Family from here, too? Parents? Pomona. So, when I left Yale Law School, the things I had seen, here I am, this Christian kid from the rural South, grew up in a red, white, and blue Christian family, at public schools. I get to Yale Law School, tip of the tip, top of the top. And I don't find liberty and justice for all, I find liberty and justice for a very few. At that time, we had this incredible new technology called video cameras. They weren't in everybody's phone like you were using there. It was very rare for somebody to have a video camera. And somebody had gotten a video camera and they had videotaped the police just beating the heck out of a guy named Rodney King down here in Los Angeles. And we all thought that, well, finally, because it had been going on for years, well, finally it's been caught on camera and something's going to be done about it. And it was shown to the jury, and the jury said, fine. They didn't care. So me and a lot of young people at that time said, how can we be for the system when the system's not for us? How can we support America when America doesn't support us? How can we love a country that doesn't love us? That's how we were thinking at that time. And I went to the left side of Pluto, okay? Like, you know, from right to left. Republicans were on the right, Democrats were on the left. I went so far left, I was to the left of Pluto. And for a long time, too. And I've never apologized for that. I've never denied that. A lot of young people in the world, when they see injustice, react to it strongly, and they should. And they should. But the great thing about this country is you're free to think whatever you want, as long as you don't hurt anybody. You're free to think whatever you want. That's what makes it a free country. And you're also free to change your mind as you get older, as you learn more things, and as you realize that some of your certainties when you're 21 and 22 and 23, they don't look as certain when you're 33 or when you're 43 or when you're 53. And so I've always spoken very openly about my journey. I think you guys can see I'm a pretty straightforward guy. Probably surprised you how straightforward I am sometimes. But I come from the same neighborhoods you came from. You know, keeping it real is the first responsibility. We hate phony people in our communities. In fact, that will hurt you later in life because as you climb the ladder, they expect you to be phony. And you sometimes have to learn how to be phony. But I don't lie about the things I've done, the things I've seen, the things I've thought. And what happened was when I got to the White House, people who are the enemies of the president decided to go and make that a big deal. Mainly because I wouldn't lie about it. I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, were you a crazy left-wing berserkly activist? Yep. Sure was. And I was considered a left-winger in Berkeley. I was considered a left-winger in Oakland. That's like being considered conservative in Mississippi, you know? How conservative would you have to be considered, to be in Mississippi? People say, that dude is a right-winger. So yeah, I was as far left as you could go, and if I could have gone any further left, I would have. But I'm almost 50 years old. I've learned a lot in my life. I've come to see that a lot of stuff that my father taught me was right. I was rebelling against my dad. I was rebelling against everything. But now I've got kids of my own. And I have a different point of view. And you should be able to think freely and speak freely and debate freely and change your mind and talk about that and move on. But there's a particular news station, and I'm not going to call its name. I said I'm not going to call its name. But I will say this. If your number one news source on television, where you get all your information from, and you get all your perspective from, is named after a furry, predatory mammal that is known for being sneaky and can't be trusted to guard the hen house or anything else, you might want to diversify your news source. That's all I'm saying. You might want to diversify where you get your information from. But I appreciate the question. Yeah. And I'll tell you this. If you really love the country, if you're truly a patriot, you actually don't punish honesty. You actually want to encourage it. You actually want to encourage, on both sides, right and left. You actually want to encourage real dialogue and discourse. And you don't twist facts. And you don't take people out of context. And you don't pretend that somebody is the same person at 44 they were at 21. One of the tough things about being black, we're so beautiful, we barely age. So, you can show a picture of me at 24 talking and a picture of me right now talking, and we don't look that different. So you can pretend that that was something I said yesterday, but it's just not true. That's what they did. I told you I'm blunt. So, Mr. Jones, how can we get more young minority women and men to be more active with issues that our communities face and take roles to save the planet and have our voices heard? Well, look, the main thing to be worried about right now is you. How do you get more involved? How do you get more active? How do you find more opportunities? How do you get that internship at the radio station? I'm sure that young man was up here, probably worked at a radio station. How do you get that internship, that opportunity? How do you find you have to have mentors, man. See, your problem is, many of you, you're the smartest person you know. And the most accomplished person that you know. And everybody's looking at you, asking you questions. And you've got in your mind, you know something. You know, it doesn't work that way. I've got mentors. One of them just died. You got to have people ahead of you in line. And and these teachers, listen, man, when you leave here, who is going to sign your letter of recommendation saying you deserve to go to graduate school? If you aren't thinking about that right now, you're losing. You can't just get there to grad school on your grades. You can't just get a job based on your grades. Somebody's got to stand for you and say, this is a good kid, this is a good student, worked hard. And they should be able to say something besides they took all the tests. Give them some story to tell. How they worked with you and helped you get this thing. And that's important. So you're worried about, how can I get all these other people? Worry about you right now. If you set a great example, other students will want to follow it. Maybe not all of them, but a few, especially those behind you. You're, first year, you're second year, first year can follow. But that's the main way I see us losing. Number one, we're not focused on the technologies of tomorrow. We still want to be a social worker, a teacher, criminal justice, all those things. That's fine. But you have to balance that out with business and technology. If you don't, you're going to lose. I'm sorry, this is somewhat off topic, but what are you doing tonight? No, wait, no. So, what? Just joking. Married and happily so. But what do you have an opinion of Ta-Nehisi Coates? I just read Between the World and Me. Who read that book, Between the World and Me? Most people buy the book and they don't read it. They just buy it because it's a popular book, Between the World and Me. They put it on the shelf, they don't read it. I'm in that category. I bought it, I haven't read it. I think he's great, and I think Michelle Alexander is great. Michelle Alexander wrote the book, The New Jim Crow. Who here has read or heard about The New Jim Crow? If you haven't heard about that book, you should get that book. It talks about mass incarceration and how we wound up with so many people in prison. I'm for it, but I haven't read the book yet. I just bought it to be cool, so I can't comment on it. What can we do to enter the green economy? Now, do you mean to enter, like, who wrote that? What's your question, sir?
Basically, I'm an instructor here, and I phrase that for my students in the fact that when I was their age, I wanted to be an environmentalist, but I actually did not get science, didn't particularly like it, but I love the environment.
Yeah.
So in their situation now, I'm curious, what would you recommend for students that are agreeing with everything you say? They don't necessarily have a mentor.
Yeah.
What is the first step they can take to sort of be part of it and get going?
Yeah. Well, look, I started an organization with Prince's help called Green for All. Not green for some, but green for all. So greenforall.org has a lot of information about stuff. Here's a reality, because everybody's different. Whatever you do, you can do it in a green way or a greener way. You might say, I love the environment, but but I really want to be a restaurateur. I want to have a hair salon. I want to be an auto mechanic. Great. Whatever you do, you can do it in a way where there's less poison, less pollution, less toxics. So everybody can be a part of the green economy just by, if you're a teacher, making sure your campus is using solar energy or not wasting water or not throwing away food and composting it or sharing it. You can, wherever you are, you can do something. The reality is that, we're talking about the solar industry, the electric cars. Those two in California are actually fairly strong industries. And the best thing to do is to find out what are the solar companies and go and do some informational interviews. Just say, listen, do you have internships? Is there any way I can volunteer? What are you looking for? And if you can find students on your campus who have worked in any of these different industries, they can also be really good mentors. But that's a question I hear a lot. There's no one easy answer, but whatever you do, you can do it in a greener way. I would encourage you to do so. What is your opinion of social media influence on the political climate today? It's mostly bad at the very top. At the bottom, it's good. Your generation being in communication with each other is really good. But at the top, we used to cover news on CNN, and we still do. But a lot of times we cover somebody's tweet. Somebody tweeted something to somebody else, and we have to do a whole news section on somebody's tweet. That feels not so good. I just think that there's probably a transition that we're going through, and we can't really see where it's all going to end. For a while, there was a big distinction between news and entertainment, but that seems to be collapsing. So now you look at the debates, and it looks like a reality TV show. You've got all these contestants up there. Which one's going to be it's like Survivor, and it's just weird. So. I noticed some cell towers, microwave towers, are located near or on the urban school campuses or low socioeconomic areas. Do we know how this impacts the environment? I actually don't know. It's actually a good question. There's a lot of ups and downs with technology. It's a great question. I just don't know. Somebody else will have to research that. So those are all my questions. Are there any others? Yeah. He was asking the question, what's your name, brother? Job was asking, look, when you go work for certain companies, do moral issues come up? Maybe the company is going to do something that you don't agree with. How do you deal with that? Look, that's one of the great challenges in life. Wherever you work, it's not all easy. It's not always, I mean, even if you try to work in the Catholic Church, there's scandals in the Catholic Church or the Protestant Church. If you go to work for the most eco-green company ever that makes like everything out of like tofu and soap bubbles or something, so it's just all perfect. There's still going to be problems. There's still going to be issues. There's still going to be something that you think is not right. Your big challenge is to figure out how to navigate things that are not just black and white. When you're a student, it's easy for it's like either right or wrong. In real life, it's a lot more gray areas. And what I've tried to do over time is figure out how I can have more power. See, when you come from communities like we come from, most of us, you don't have a lot of power, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of fame, and so you actually almost hate all those things. You halfway, you're jealous of the people who have it, and you kind of hate them. It's called haterism, right? Just a whole thing. And so we have a dysfunctional relationship coming out of a lot of our neighborhoods with power and money and fame. We want it, but we hate it. But even when we get it, we don't know what to do with it. And so, I spend a lot of time studying individuals. I read a lot of biographies, just because I'm trying to understand, how do people live a life? I was there when my father died in 2008. I was standing beside his bed. It was just me and him. And I was also there later that summer when my son was born, standing beside the bed with, And what I learned, life is very short. It starts with a scream and a lot of mess and blood, and it ends ugly, no matter what. And all you have is, what year were you born? So all you have is your name, 1995, dash, and then whatever year you get out of here. And your whole life is just lived on that little dash. Okay? So you don't want to waste time. And a good way to not waste time, first of all, is to have mentors that are doing stuff you believe in, that you can actually talk to, maybe just once a year. But most of your mentors you'll never talk to. You'll never meet them. Some of them are dead. Some of them are too famous to return your phone call, but you can read about them. Read biographies. Most people that you are excited about, they weren't born with much more than you. But somehow they became a world-renowned artist or an entrepreneur, or they were a great general, something. Read those biographies. Get addicted to just reading biographies, because what will begin to happen is you'll start understanding in a subconscious way what are the key ingredients for a successful life. Picking your battles is one of them, right? Sometimes you'll go someplace, there'll be a lot of nonsense going on. You'll make mistakes. You may have a tendency not to say something when you should say something. Or you may have a tendency to say something when you should shut the hell up. Right? But as you go through life, you learn how to navigate and maneuver. But the thing you don't want to do is, I'm not even going to go over there, because I'm scared if I go over there, I'll get polluted. Right? That's not the right answer. It might be the right answer for a year or two, but at a certain point, you need to go over there. Like, I'm so far on the left, I'm so progressive, people were shocked that I went to CNN. They would have expected me to go to some radical news outlet. I'm like, no, I want to be on CNN. I want to learn how the mainstream works. I want to be able to share my opinions with the big audience. And frankly, I wound up making friends who are Republicans, Democrats, and everything else. And I'm more useful now to my community. So, some people are just cowards. They don't have any morals. They're just out for themselves. And they'll say, well, pick your battles. That means never fight anybody. Just try to get your own money, get your own promotion, and don't care. That's not what I mean. I mean, pick your battles. There will be times you need to stand up. There will be times you need to say something's not right, or offer a suggestion. The best thing to do, though, if something is wrong, is to suggest something that's right. If you just say that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, even people who agree with you don't know what to do. People who don't agree with you know what to do, shut you down. But if you say, well, why don't we try it this way? See, that's what green jobs. I didn't just come and say, stop polluting, stop polluting, stop polluting, stop polluting. I said, stop polluting so we can put up these solar panels. Stop giving kids poison-based food so we can give them organic food. Now, why do I call it poison-based food? I see you guys need me now. Yes, Monsanto, etc. But we got any English majors in here? Literature people, anything? Okay. So I got a very good question for you. What's your name back there? Yeah, you. The long hair, yeah. Who? Adaga. Good to meet you. I'm Van. Angelica. Wonderful. I'm Van. Good to meet you. So, in general, in English, if a word ends with side, C-I-D-E, side, is that a good word or a terrible word? Terrible, right? Hama. See, it's a terrible word. Hama, right? Sua, terrible word. Pesta, pesticide. Homicide means death. Suicide means death. Pesticide means death. If they grow your food with pesticide, that's a death-based agriculture system. That's an agriculture system that is based on poisoning the ground to grow food for you to eat. That seems like a bad idea. So, if all I said was that, you would just starve to death. I can't eat anything. I say, no. But I've got organic food for you. I've got natural food for you. I've got local food for you. That's the balance. I don't just say, stop polluting. I say, use solar. I don't just say, stop poisoning the children. I say, give them this good food. So when it's time to pick that battle, always make sure you have some positive suggestion or a recommendation. Even if they say no to that one, they might come up with something else. And that's how you deal with these environments. So listen, thank you very much. I appreciate being here.